Well, I hope everybody can see me okay. See my third scar for the duration for the DBS. But what I wanted to talk to you today about is the team of nurses and doctors and nursing aides and doctors' aides, the whole team at Vanderbilt. They approach you like a NASCAR race car. I mean, they don't just have team members. They have a team. And what I want to tell you is the step-by-step process, as best as I can recall, as far as the surgery from the second and third surgeries. Because the first surgery just wasn't nothing but putting lug nuts in my head. That wasn't nothing. But the second one, they wheel you in there after they give you the what I call a tequila shot in the IV, because you don't give a care of what you're thinking or what you're saying. But they give you the tequila shot and they wheel you into the operating room. Now they have an operating room designated strictly for brain surgery. And I mean, it's just awesome to see the operating facilities and to be awake during that and to see that going on was, I mean, it was just awesome. I wish everybody could see it. The main nurse and the head doctor, Dr. Hahn, he operated on the brain. Now, I mean, he did the whole brain surgery, the whole the routing of the wires and stuff. He did that. Now, the head nurse, she's awesome, and she was glad that I remembered her yesterday, and that was Sarge. I don't know her name, but I know her as Sarge. So shout out to Sarge, because she was just one knockout nurse. And when she instructed everybody else, everybody was friends with everybody, all that good stuff. Now, they had, when they wheeled you in there, they wheel you to gurney. They ask you to, work yourself over as best as you can. And when they wheel you in and they get you self-centered, because they make you feel the edges where you feel like you're safe and self-centered, then they wheel you the extra gurney away, put the pillow under your knees, and they start working on you. I mean, armrests are coming in with foam padding. The bed transforms into like a recliner, and you're sitting up. You're not laying down through the procedure. You're sitting up in a reclined position. So that's more comfortable than anything I've ever endured. And they make sure that your legs don't move, and that your thighs don't move, and that your arms don't move. And then when they put the headpiece on, yeah, you can feel it. You can hear the hardware going on, but you can't see it and you can't feel it. You just feel the pressure. And it sounds like you're putting nuts and bolts together. They talk to you the entire time. They talk about your history. They asked about my animals on the farm. They ask what kind of music you like to listen to, because they set the music in the operating room to what you relaxes you most. I chose folk music. I had no idea that Dr. Hahn liked folk music because I heard him tapping his foot while he's working on my brain. And that was kind of weird, but it was cool. They have a nursing team to your left, because since you're not being able to move, you're strapped in and bolted into this recliner. So you kind of motion with your hand to the nursing team on the left, and if you have, like I had an itch on my nose, well, there has got to be somebody else that can do this, but the nurse said, I will scratch your nose. If you have a nose itch, I will scratch your nose. So, and they did. And then they said they switched up team members whenever somebody needed a break. So I'm assuming that that's the reason that they have a 2-person team on every station, except Dr. Hahn and the Sarge. Because, I mean, they didn't switch up, they had it timed. Whenever Dr. Hahn came in the room and they get everything situated and he had all of his talk with all of his team members, Sarge was busy putting lidocaine in my scalp and making sure that everything was numb, everything's numb to the touch, before Dr. Hahn ever stepped up. When Dr. Hahn stepped up, him and her, and I mean, it was just a face full of nurses and technicians and hands putting this headgear on and putting the draping on so you didn't notice anything coming in your eyes. I mean, they shaved my scalp a second time. They washed it 3 times, but nothing ever dripped because they put a little steri strip with a draping attached to it, just above the eyebrows and just above the, just around the ears. So you didn't hear much and you didn't see much going on. Everything you saw was the 2 nurses at the left, I'll get my words out in a minute, a student from the neurology department at my feet, and the 2 technicians at the right who actually ran the diodes into the brain and tested. Once we were done with the surgery, they ran the test. So I'm gonna wait through this. I'm gonna wait totally through this. But, we're talking, we're singing. At one point, Dr. Hahn says, okay, now everybody quiet while I record this. And he records the procedure as far as what he's fixing to do. And, does his little recording that's supposed to be transcribed into the record later. He does his recording, and then he says, okay, now let's get to work. They worked. And I mean, I never felt the headgear on my head. I just heard the bolts, nuts and bolts, conversation, and the conversation that I can participate in too. So that was cool. Now the drilling. The drilling might cause a little bit of people some anxiety. I didn't, because I'm a gearhead. I love tools. Dentist doesn't bother me. Some people. But it was, I got a giggle out of it, because they drilled 2 dime-sized holes in your head for the diodes to go into. And it was just like a little old Dremel. It goes zzz, and that's the sound it makes, because that's breaking the seal. They break the seal the minute they pop out the skull, break through the skull. It goes like this. And then they do the other side, and it went, popped out. No pain, no feeling whatsoever. I didn't feel it, which I don't think you could feel the skull pain. I don't think the skull feels pain. The next bit kind of shook my head a little bit, so I kind of opened my mouth so I wouldn't bite my tongue, because they had to chamfer the holes. And you have to look up, if you're not familiar with the chamfering tool, look it up, because they had to chamfer the holes, and that means that they just put a bevel on the side, so it wasn't a sharp edge, it was a rounded edge. And that shook my head a little bit. I made comment to Dr. Hahn that I think he needed a sharper beveling tool because it was a little dull. And everybody got a kick out of that, even Sarge. Now, whenever they started to make the incisions in the scalp for the 2 Klingon strips that I've got here, I did have to holler at Sarge, and with the left one, I hollered, Sarge, I can feel that. She had him stop, popped a couple more shots, took 5 minutes, and nothing. I mean, it was just that quick. And that's all you have to do. You have to speak up whenever that procedure is going on. You speak up. Whenever you feel something ain't right, speak up. Now, I did have a hot flash in the middle of the process, in the middle of the procedure, and that was before they put the diodes in, but, you know, Dr. Hahn had my skull open, essentially, but I got nauseous. Didn't eat nothing, did the whole requirements that I was supposed to do, but I got nauseous. They put anti-nausal medicine in the IV twice. It didn't help, and I started retching because, I mean, I felt like I could get sick, but it wasn't nothing coming out. And I learned something. An alcohol swab up under the nose, and it went away. That and a lot of air conditioning. But that's how I got through the worst part of the being awake. Now, once that passed, you know, they ran the whole diodes. I could hear the guy, I could see the guy to my right, and he was saying so many centimeters, this one, that one. You know, I'm assuming that he could watch, but it was numb. So there was no panic. There was nothing. It was time for the testing. And it went on and on and on. But it has to be done. They give you a little pea cup full of water that you have to, and it's sealed, so you don't have to worry about tipping it over on yourself, but you pour water, you hold it. You pour water, you hold it. And what he does is adjust the frequency every time you do that. He adjusts the frequency. And I learned that the higher frequencies are what I'm in the range with, as far as, you know, controlling the tremors. And he said that, you know, I should be able to wear this pack indefinitely. You know, just change the frequencies every time, you know, that my tremors progress and I notice it. I can just go in for a tune-up. That's pretty bad, but it's go in for a tune-up, and they adjust their frequency and dial it frequency down, and it'll stop the tremor some more. Now the second and the last procedure that I had done that was a little taxing was putting the battery pack and connecting the wires. And if you'll see, if you can't see, I'll put the picture up. But it just, the third procedure, the third set, was inserting the battery pack and then hooking it all together. Now you're going to have some neck tightness like nobody's business. And drivers, this is going to be the worst part, is not driving. Because I so want to get in there and drive. The pain doesn't last forever. I can turn my neck to a certain extent. I have to practice. I have to, you know, get used to the wires. But it's worth it. From what I saw in the what they call the honeymoon period, it is so worth it. When you heal, it's going to be worth it. And you have got to have a COVID test with every procedure. It sucks. Like, subscribe, and share it out the wazoo, because so many other people don't know that this procedure can happen and are afraid of it. And the worst of the procedures are while you're awake and you have active feedback. And when you have active feedback, you have some control over what's going on.